Hi guys, my name is Katie Beck and I did my presentation on psychological health because I want to help improve awareness of the subject, specifically in terms of prevalence and treatment. So first, let's cover some basics. Psychological or mental health encompasses a lot of aspects of our lives, not just our moods and emotions. It includes how we see ourselves and how we relate to the world around us. I have some definitions here from the textbook and from mentalhealth.gov. So, similarly, mental illness encompasses many things. If we are having difficulties relating to others, having poor self-awareness, or experiencing high levels of stress, issues like anxiety, depression, or psychosis may develop. I think it's important to point out that even if we are doing everything right, our genes, biological chemistry, or environment can cause mental distress. And mental health interference with your daily life can range from mild to severe. Now we'll move on to prevalence. First, it's super important for all of us to remember that all types of people can develop mental illness. People from all cultures, socioeconomic statuses, backgrounds, ages, etc. The biggest thing that I want to point out is that children and young adults and teens can also have mental illness. I learned that 50% of all mental disorders show signs before the age of 14. Next, it is estimated that 1 in 5 American adults has a mental illness, along with roughly 20% of teenagers. Also, mental illness is especially prevalent in the criminal justice system and in the homeless community. Now let's talk about treatment. So there are two basic types of treatment for mental illness: psychotherapeutic and pharmaceutical. People can choose between the two or utilize a combination of them. Statistics are difficult to find because different disorders and people will respond in different ways to each treatment. However, research does show that seeking treatment is more beneficial than not seeking it, and that certain diagnoses respond better to certain treatments. Psychotherapeutic treatments are those that most people typically think of when someone says therapy. It's also important to point out that trust, communication, and cooperation are key in the relationship between a client and a therapist. And it might take time to find a dynamic that works, and you might have to go to multiple therapists. There are many kinds of psychotherapies. I didn't list all of them. But typically a psychotherapy is chosen based on a diagnosis and the individual and what has worked for the past or what hasn't worked in the past. Additionally, different therapists usually specialize in one type of therapy. So this goes back to it might take time to find the right therapist, the right treatment, and it's definitely a combination of things. Now, unlike therapy, there are pharmaceutical treatments that involve medication to minimize symptoms. Like with therapy, it may take time to find the right combination of drugs or the right drug that reduces treatment without causing too many side effects and doesn't interact with any other medications someone might be taking. Unlike with therapy, medications are typically only based on diagnosis, not so much the patient, except for when you run into, like I said, side effects. So antidepressants typically control the body's absorption of serotonin. Anti-anxieties help to reduce the physical symptoms of panic attack. And so that's where mostly the diagnosis plays into treatment decisions with medications. So the reason I want to do this subject on mental health is because I know that there's still a stigma out there on the subject. And while the textbook went into it a little bit, I'm a psych major and I kind of wanted to cover it a little bit more in depth. I want everyone to realize that if they're suffering with a mental illness or know someone that is, they're definitely not alone, and there are lots of options to get help. Even if it does take the right time, it takes a lot of time to find the right therapist, the right therapy, the right drug, the right combination, the right group of people. It can be done, and there's people out there to help you. Here are my sources. Most of them were online. I mostly use the National Alliance on Mental Illness, or NAMI, and the National Institute of Mental Health, and NIMH, both of which are government research entities. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.